Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Kirby.
All right. How are you doing? We're going to talk about a kind of a nasty topic today, huh? I guess a lot of our topics are nasty, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is Human Trafficking Awareness Month,
Mhm.
and it's a very important topic. So,
Absolutely. Yep. So I think the very first thing we're going to talk about is just some resources, right?
yes.
For the United States. So let me go ahead and share. There we go. And this is the NCMEC page, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And we've done some work for NCMEC before. We love them. They're fantastic and enthusiastic. And I think it's like a team of really caring people. But we wanted to kind of highlight this. This is just missingkids.org is the website. Pretty easy.
Yeah.
So you had two of those links on here. I just put the second one right next to it. And so this is the search missing children posters. So you can kind of go through and look for, it's not, hold on. There we go. So this is on the NCMEC page. This is where you can look to see, what missing children are being listed around, your state, that sort of thing. Right, Sarah?
Right. And this is actually, helpful for not just people that are missing children, but if you're in an area, it's helpful to look and see, specifically the area where you are to see who's missing in case you see them.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just going to put District of Columbia. We'll just kind of leave everything kind of open. And here we go. And so some of them have been missing for a long time, and some have only been missing for a few months on these.
Right.
And actually, we only have 5 from DC, but remember the DC is also Virginia, Maryland. So we'd have to look around. But let's go into this page. And so you can get a look at the child, and you can see 16 years old and maybe in the local area. Right. So our next page, let's see. Oh, it didn't open that tab for you. Hold on. It opened to this tab for me. I just didn't notice it didn't share back for you. All right. There's a CyberTipline as well that everybody can report to. Right, Sarah?
Yes. And this is actually very important, not just for seeing things like if you're out on the street, but also if you see something online. So if you see something online that might deal with child exploitation or child trafficking, you can submit a tip on this tip line. It's very easy to use. I've done it before. I think Kirby has as well. And then you just submit the information in, and then they can act on it.
Right. And we are talking about children right now, but not all human trafficking has to do with children. But we are going to kind of highlight that to start. And that's where most people, I think about it. So
right.
We'll continue onward. All right. So LexisNexis has this ADAM program.
Right. So this is done, the ADAM program is done with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And they partnered with LexisNexis, or LexisNexis partnered with them. And this is a good resource for not just investigators, but for civilians outside of investigators when they're trying to find missing children or to research, to conduct research on it. So.
Another resource we have, going back to the NCMEC, they actually have some online courses that you can actually check out. So
yes,
except our cookies on here, but you can see right here, somebody disclosed to me, now what? And so you can find, figure out exactly what you should be doing if somebody does disclose some information to you, etc.
Right. So, and one of the things that I thought was also helpful is I just wanted to draw the attention on the first one on autism. is most people don't think about, when children go missing is, sometimes it can be for a variety of reasons, but one thing is some children that have autism will have a tendency to wander off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do hear those stories where, a young person has wandered off and they're looking for days in the woods, and it's just not because they were abducted, but because they just wandered themselves.
Right.
So, all right. Got a news article here. Sarah, do you want to tell us about this Long Beach man with prior kidnapping conviction?
Well, this was actually something that this was a recent news article that was January 14th, 2026, and it shows how the National Center for Missing and Exploited, how that organization was able to provide a tip to the police in California, and they were able to use that for actual to go arrest people as an operation. So,
yeah. So the Human Trafficking Task Force went in and rescued someone. So we've got here, and apparently this is somebody who's done this before. So,
right. So
them off. Yeah.
So the reason I included that was an example is to show that the tip line actually does work, because this is from a tip.
Mm-hmm. Right, and it could have been, like a friend of his who knew he did these sort of things and wanted to be anonymous and just said, "Okay, I know he went to go meet a girl in Anaheim or something like that." All right. So this is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, January. Just about to close it out. But this is Polaris. Sarah, do you want to tell us about Polaris?
So Polaris actually hosts the largest human trafficking hotline in the United States. And so that is why one of the reasons why I included Polaris in here. But Polaris has multiple resources that you can use for human trafficking awareness and to become familiar with the topic. And also, it's a place to submit tips to. And this is not just for children, but this is for anybody that is being trafficked. And when we're talking about trafficking, a lot of times people think about, they'll think about child trafficking or they'll think about sexual trafficking. But in actuality, that's not the largest part of trafficking. The largest part of trafficking is actually labor trafficking. And so this tip line is also helpful for submitting tips on labor trafficking if you become familiar that it's occurring in your area. And then Polaris also had some helpful free training that was on trafficking that you can go take a free class on Polaris about human trafficking.
So. Right. The first time I learned about, I guess it wasn't the first time I necessarily learned about labor trafficking, but learned what a big deal it was and exactly how it was done. I was at a conference, and I think it was a speaker from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and she gave a talk about how some Eastern European men had been tricked into coming to Canada, thinking that they were emigrating to Canada, and they ended up their passports were taken away. They had to live in the basement of this house, and then they had to do construction work. And they were in Canada illegally and didn't have a chance to get their passport back to go back home or anything. I think they were also threatened, that sort of thing. But it was really interesting, kind of a case study of an investigation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So still on Polaris.
Yeah.
Here's the kind of more the stereotypical trafficking story.
Right. So this is a social media toolkit on love and trafficking, and how people get manipulated into sexual trafficking, and how people are groomed. And then also talks about how a lot of people are groomed through people that they know.
Or by sort of pseudo celebrities. I know that there's a kind of a famous case where there were some celebrities that they would romance. were YouTube celebrities. They were like big celebrities. They romance people online and invite them to come over, and then next thing you know, they're part of their sex network.
Right. Well, we've seen that with some big name celebrities too.
Yeah. So, okay, let's go ahead and share this tab. So this one, Human Trafficking 101, is about training. So you can go in and sign up for the actual training on, how to recognize it, that sort of thing, how to report it.
And I took the training, like each of the training modules in here that were free training before doing this OSINT IRL. I took them. So this was also very helpful for dispelling some of the stereotypes that we have about human trafficking and some of the myths. So, for example, that labor trafficking is actually bigger than sex trafficking, or that a lot of people that are trafficked are actually from minority groups and LGBTQ communities. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I that were a good reminder, and then there were also new things that I learned from the module.
Yeah, and I do think it's important to get like the truth of what human trafficking is out there, because a lot of people think of it as like, oh, somebody's just kidnapping this girl from a high school. No, it might be a girl from high school, but she's, kind of in this web of things. And I don't know if you want to say brainwashed, but she's, being convinced to go at least start it herself. And then usually from there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So moving from Polaris to the Exodus Road. So Sarah,
so the Exodus Road, they actually are international, and they help in so many different components, from investigations to helping, for rehabilitation and then they also have an educational module that's helpful for people to look at. And then they also use OSINT in there as a part of their cycle of activities.
So going into some other stuff. So again, this is still the Exodus Road. You've got a education module about AI and human trafficking. Sarah,
Yes.
did you take one?
And this was from both the red and blue perspective. It's just a brief article discussing how AI can assist in human trafficking investigations, and theoretically how it can be used from a red teaming perspective, just briefly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's an article on what is OSINT and how can it stop human trafficking. So anybody who wants to get involved. Now, the thing about getting involved with this sort of thing is there's such a thing called vicarious trauma. Right, Sarah?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's definitely a thing is called vicarious trauma. But the thing, like if it's Exodus Road, or if it's the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and some of these bigger organizations, they're very careful with their volunteers of explaining this is how to avoid vicarious trauma. Here's the guardrails of what you can and can't do. I wouldn't recommend just going out and doing research on your own on human trafficking networks. I have, for articles or for something that I'm doing for OSINT, but even then I am, because I've been doing OSINT for so long, I know how to put in some of those guardrails for myself. But if you haven't been doing it for so long, you might not know how to do those guardrails, like how to strip out images, or how to avoid the video, or how to or you might do something that would endanger somebody's investigation, by tipping the traffickers off. So I think it's really important that if you do want to help, is you pick one of these organizations to help with, and they actually help train you to let you know what their rules, their rules or their guardrails are.
Yeah, and they'll let you know what is actually helpful and what's not helpful. Something you would normally think, oh, that's going to be helpful, it may not be.
Yeah.
So. One more Exodus Road link. So here, there are also these big organizations can also give you some good lists on who else is good, because there's a lot of scammers and grifters out there who will be saying, yeah, we're fighting human trafficking, and they're taking your money to go on a fun trip to Thailand or whatever. So keep that in mind. This will give you a good list. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's important to always vet, especially when you're looking at human trafficking. Well, any field when you're looking at nonprofits and looking at fraud, but with human trafficking, you have to be very careful that the donations are going to the right place and that place is vetted, because there have been like a few really obscure instances where human traffickers will pretend to be a nonprofit. So
right. Well, imagine, yeah.
So, but this is a good list for international organizations that they recommend.
Yep, and there's a number of things in here. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
Just if you can go for a second, up a little. This one, Free the Girls.
Mm-hmm.
Free the Girls actually has partnered with the World AI Summit, the World Artificial Intelligence Summit. So when I went to the World AI Summit in Amsterdam, they actually showed some of the advertisements for that nonprofit. So they're really trying to get the tech communities involved, not just for donations, but also for emerging technology to assist with stopping trafficking.
Right, because one thing that I always say this is that somebody who's criminal, they're going to be the ones who figure out the new technology and how it can help them first. So if you put something new out there, whether it's AI or something else, they're going to figure out, hey, is this going to help me get my job done? Which in their job, of course, is illegal, where we usually are catching up. So it's good to go and talk to the people who are creating that technology, who can maybe you can kind of alert them, and now they'll know what to think about or what to notice people using their tools for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Freedom Network USA.
Yes. So they actually have a training institute for helping train people on how to deal with trafficking, not just from a research perspective, but again, from a legal perspective and a rehabilitation perspective, and a whole how to deal with the problem. And a lot of times people think about it being overseas, but the reality is one of the United States has a huge issue with human trafficking. So
yeah, and I think that one thing, if you wanted to kind of take a peek at that happening, we got a major event coming up pretty soon that's pretty well known for human trafficking. Stem Giancarlo says law enforcement is at least 10 years behind. Hold on. Sorry, there we go. Law enforcement is at least 10 years behind on technology. Training groups such as the Plexus Experts Network helps bridge that gap. Thank you so much, Sten Giancarlo, giving us a hype. Yeah, we try to bridge that gap. And again, the tool creators can as well. And we do provide a lot of training. So anybody who wants to, check out some of our training, it's at academy.plexus.net. You'll see it in the show notes on YouTube if you're interested. But another point to you, Sarah, again, is we have a big event coming up, and it is well known as a magnet for human traffickers, and that is the Super Bowl.
Oh yes.
If you want to watch the different ads in the different personals websites, or on, if you want to scan Grinder, if you want to, the FIFA World Cup would be another one that would be a major event coming up this summer in the United States that you're going to see. You're going to be able to with your own eyes notice. I mean, those things are going to come up and go down and that sort of thing. And if you're not an investigator for it, get trained by one of these groups before you decide to dive in. But if you just want to casually look through and see, it's not going to be hard to find for these events.
Right.
Don't do anything unless you're already trained.
Right. Well, it's submit a tip for sure.
Oh, submit a tip. Yeah, sure. Yeah, report it. Submit it. If you see someone on Craigslist, you think, oh, that's got to be submit that. Definitely. All right. So, IJM, which is
the international justice movement, and they it's another international organization for human trafficking, anti-human trafficking, and this is also a good resource as well. So this is someplace that you can go to get information about human trafficking. You can also volunteer. They have fellowships, and then they also, in part of their cycle, use OSINT as well. So.
And I would say almost everybody in part of the cycle definitely use OSINT.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And it's good to the ones that have free classes. I definitely recommend the free classes.
This is the National Child Protection Task Force, NCPTF, and a couple of the guys who do the OSINT for it. And I know both of these guys, or at least I know him personally and him tangentially. Really great people. Yeah. So, but they also, you can help out with by joining their organization as well.
And they sometimes take volunteers. So I don't know if they're full right now, but I know that sometimes they are recruiting for volunteers. So,
Operation Safe Escape.
Yes. So this is not just for human trafficking, but a component of this could be human trafficking, and it sometimes is. So Kirby, one of Kirby's friends, has volunteered here before. And this is a good resource to be familiar with, because one, you can submit tips there. Two, it's a good educational resource.
All right, this is still, this is Trace Labs. Okay, so Trace Labs.
So Trace Labs is a capture the flag event for finding missing people, but a lot of, not all missing people, but a lot of missing people are trafficked, and there's a significant number of runaways. The stats vary on this. Like, I've seen so many different resources, but one of the stats is about 7 out of 10 runaways ends up being trafficked. I don't know if that stat is accurate, but that is a commonly used statistic. So when you're looking at missing people, and specifically runaways, there is a possibility that they might be trafficked. And Trace Labs assists finding missing people, working with law enforcement, and they don't interfere with any law enforcement investigations. And it's someplace that anybody can go and utilize OSINT or OSINT skills to assist in finding missing people. So I highly recommend it. I've done a couple of the CTFs myself, and I did that. Oh, awesome. Okay. So
let's read that out, though. Stan Giancarlo says, tickets go on sale for their next CTF on January 31st. Before we move on, what is a CTF?
A CTF is a capture the flag, and that means they do 4 people on a team, and that 4-person team gets assigned a number of missing people cases where they go use open source intelligence or to research to find those missing people, to try and help find clues or tips to find those missing people.
They gamify it.
They gamify it. They do give you some training ahead of time. Like, they have that sets the guardrails to make sure that you're in a safe environment, and also to show you how far you're allowed to go and what you are and are not allowed to do. And to participate, you pay about $20, and that $20 is going for good, because it's helping to maintain finding missing people. So I do recommend it. I've done it twice. It was during COVID quarantine, but it's definitely a worthwhile event.
Right, and free, and what you pay to get into it, but free training.
Absolutely.
Says the event is February 21st.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. You get free software and stuff too as well. It's definitely worth it.
Yes, you do get free software, and they tell you how to use it. Or, but not all the software, but the OVA that would go in a virtual machine. They give you some instructions on how to use that.
Let's go into the Guardian group, Project 1591.
Yes. So Guardian group they definitely do open source intelligence for helping find sex trafficking. So, and other, yeah.
In
So
fact,
that's
article, Volunteer
yeah.
Voices, Why I
Mhm.
Use My OSINT Skills to Fight Trafficking. So if you wanted to check an article about somebody who does get in there, volunteer, and specifically uses OSINT for it, got an article here for you.
And I just want to mention something, is the OSINT can be, when you see something online, but sometimes it's when you see something in person. So I, like, one time I traveled someplace and I was in a country, this was several years ago, and I went into a restaurant and all the women were wearing numbers, and they were obviously being trafficked. So that is what you would call is just an observation. Um, you wouldn't do anything there. You would obviously leave. But the part of it, you're observing it, you would then submit a tip for it.
Could also be like the neighborhood zine, like if somebody actually prints out a neighborhood zine and leaves it places, that could be OSINT as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over to Our Rescue, an article about the rise of human trafficking, or the rise of open source intelligence in fighting human trafficking.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say that open source intelligence, I mean, you find that important, I think, in almost every single crime. There's going to be some different investigations that you do where you might not have to use so much open source, but it's almost always valuable. And I think that just like finding the value in this specific topic is important.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to, this one is trying to read the name of the organization, Clementia Justia Global Intelligence Network. Okay, Global Intelligence Network.
Yeah. So this one I'm not as familiar with, but I did think it was interesting because they provided a forum where you can submit things and work together on that topic, and you can do that anonymously, which has good and bad to it. But this group is a not US based group, but the way they had it structured was interesting, the way that they did it, because it was protecting the sources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it looks like the forum is actually on LinkedIn even.
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Or discussion, the forum was on LinkedIn.
Right. So. Okay. Here's one that some of us might be more familiar with, Skull Games. I think Sten Giancarlo can tell us when the next Skull Games event is as well. Hopefully he knows that. But this is it's kind of like Trace Labs, only it's for trafficking specifically, not missing, right?
Well, it's not just, they actually emphasize more sex trafficking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sten Giancarlo says Mrs. OSINT is the expert there. So if you ever go onto LinkedIn, find Mrs. OSINT, she will definitely know. But he says that it is in May.
Okay.
Something to keep out. And it's probably in the run-up to Osmosis, which I would guess is the case.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about the Osmosis conference, no doubt, shortly. Mm-hmm.
And this one, I haven't actually tried the CTF yet, but this one, just like Trace Labs, they work in tandem with law enforcement. They make sure to tell you what the guardrails are. They make sure that you have what the rules are before you engage, and that you're safe while you're doing it.
And I think that they also do things more in person, like they'll have an event, but they want everybody to kind of come to them in that event. And I think that's the case, instead of as virtual as Trace Labs. But they seem like they have a lot of camaraderie in that group as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Something else to get involved in. All right, then we've got a YouTube video from The Guardian. So let me switch us over to that. All right, and it's paused on a specific part. It's how children in the U.S. are trafficked on social media, and the pause. If you can't read that, I know the color is a little strange, but it says Meta as in Facebook, estimates that 100,000 children using Facebook and Instagram receive online sexual harassment every day. The company says it's committed to fighting this and other forms of child exploitation and has implemented some changes to take action. This was 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
If they're taking enough action, that's a good question. I know quite a few people who say they are not taking enough action.
Right. The point I wanted to raise with this is that so much of this is just very transparent, whether it's on X or it's on WhatsApp or it's on Instagram or it's on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It's right in your face, and if it gets overlooked, and part of it is like I was looking the other day actually on TikTok, because I was looking at the word OSINT on TikTok, and there was a Russian massage lady who had her name with the word OSINT in it on TikTok. And her advertisement was her showing herself traveling to different places. And each frame that had her traveling to different places, she had different young people with her and in spas and massages, not children, but like young adults. It was very suspicious and it could have been trafficking. But the actual, amount of money or, the actual transaction part was omitted. And that's how they're getting around it a lot of times on social media, is because they go right up to that line where you can't say 100% this is trafficking, because they're like, oh, this is a whole bunch of younger people being posted with this crazy massage lady.
And they just travel around.
Exactly. And they just happen to travel around. And for some reason, she rotates between different young people. So, it's hard sometimes to figure it out on the social media. But if you suspect it, go ahead and still submit it as a tip on a tip line, because that tip line might already have something else on that actor.
Mm-hmm. That might tie things together, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. We've got Polaris talking about human trafficking in social media. So going back to Polaris earlier, and just talking about how prevalent it is and how people actually do use social media to traffic humans. And it's worthwhile learning, especially if you have teenagers.
Yes. Yeah. And that's another thing is for youth, is to make sure that they understand.
Boys.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Is to make sure that they understand that that this is an issue on social media, and if they see something, that they should say something. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is something you found, Sarah, out on Facebook.
Yes. So, so I just pulled some examples from Facebook that are not human trafficking 100%, but they're suspicious, and they could be. So one is this advertisement for working in Saudi Arabia to get a work visa in Saudi Arabia. No website is given, no email address is given. Gmail address is given. But the way to get this visa, to contact these people, is through WhatsApp. Pattern-wise, from Facebook to WhatsApp, that's a common kind of pattern for human trafficking advertisements via Facebook.
Or Telegram.
Yeah, and a Telegram. But also like from X to WhatsApp, that's another one that's common for human trafficking advertisements. So, this is a way to pull people in. I mean, there's a possibility it could be a legitimate business, but it's the same TTP that a tactic, technique, or procedure that a human trafficking organization could use to reel somebody in and say, hey, you want a work visa? If you come here, to come to our country, you can get a work visa. The person gets there, they take their, passport, and then they're stuck there. So if it doesn't have like a reliable domain, a business that you can really trace, because I looked up the business and there wasn't a lot of information about that business online, And I did use Arabic in addition to English. And then the other thing is you look at the Facebook page, like how many people are following it, and do those profiles look real and that kind of stuff to figure out if it's a legitimate page. Okay.
And you had a couple of other screenshots, so we'll show those as well. So we'll share this tab. This was just a search for massage in Riyadh.
Yes. So you can very easily find, and I'm not trying to pick on Saudi Arabia. I've traveled there, but I just happen to know that there happens to be advertisements for this kind of thing with that combination. But if you use key terms and you know what those key terms are in relation to human trafficking in the area that you're looking at, some places they might use, like if it's a brothel, they might use the word stable, or, some places, there was one place that even referred to people as car models. But in this instance, in Riyadh, one of the big things is massage. So people will be advertised for sex sales under the word massage. So,
I think that number one result was what really caught my eye, because it's not only the WhatsApp number,
right,
for massage and dating.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some of these are scams, like some of these are a bot, and some of these are like financial scams where they'll ask for prepay and they'll try and steal the person's money. But some of them are legitimate, actual human trafficking ads. So on X, they, at one point, for Riyadh, there was some people that were posting what exits off the freeway to go to meet the person. So that's pretty clear. So either that's like a Saudi, police operation where the police are trying to reel in people that are trying to buy prostitutes, or they're people that are being trafficked. And the reason I say trafficked is because some of the advertisements were also saying new girl moved from this country to that country, which also is something that you can look at. They're being moved. So. Mm-hmm.
Another example, this one you search for Jufair and massage.
Yes, yeah, and I would say that this has actually gotten better in that city, but again, it just shows how to use just very common terms and throw them in there. If you know what the terms are for Toronto, Canada, you can throw the terms in there. If you know the terms, and each city and each country has different terms. So like for Lahore, Pakistan, at one point it was one of the popular terms was student. They were marketing.
Figure out what they're going to be labeling things as.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's each country is different, and it's a global problem, and this is happening everywhere. Some are more overt than others. And the reason I picked these were just much more overt. Whereas some of the other places, you have this same exact problem, whether it's New York City or Los Angeles, but they're using more obscure terms to try and hide it a little bit more.
It depends on the platform too. Like some platforms will, not let you use certain terms.
Right.
Or they don't allow you to post links, or they don't allow them to post numbers together, like that WhatsApp number. Maybe they wouldn't let it put it together. And so there's maybe some code ways that people will list WhatsApp numbers. Craigslist, for example, where you can just search on how people are putting their WhatsApp number in there. And that might be the way to actually. Yep. So back to the Exodus Road, talking about organ trafficking. So I think this is one of those things that people are like, does this happen? Does this not happen? Is it a myth? Like it's a scary thing that you're gonna wake up some morning with your stitches in a bathtub or whatever. What's the story for real? Sorry.
So yeah, well, actually the first time I looked at organ trafficking was in 2002 when I was on the counter disinformation team at Department of State, and it was a conspiracy theory that was being run by a Russian propaganda apparatus that we were stealing body parts and selling them to XYZ. So that does occur as a conspiracy theory, or that is used for deliberate disinformation by adversarial actors in an information operations environment. However, there is also legitimate criminal organ trafficking that is occurring on a daily basis. You have two types of organ trafficking. One is organ trafficking from cadavers, and the other one is from live people. So on Telegram, which I think I did throw in an example later on that, on Telegram, there are forums where people are, discussing buying organs. Some of those might be from live donors. And Facebook has had posts before from people from India, trying to sell their kidney. Some of those could be through coercion or through people that are in a poverty-stricken environment, and at that point, that is trafficking. So you have both. You have organ trafficking happening from both places. The reason that we included it as a topic in here is it is something that OSINT investigators sometimes have to look at, even though it's not a fun thing to look at. I didn't enjoy looking at it, but it is something that you need to be aware of, because a lot of people, again, when they think about human trafficking awareness, they're not thinking about organ trafficking.
Or if they are, it's kind of in the scary, like, in a hostel in Czechoslovakia or something, right?
Right. And or they'll think it's just on the dark web, and it's not. It's not just on the dark web. You will have people that are posting, on mainstream social media sites about, selling a kidney.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of social media,
yeah,
right here, kidney for sale. How they can buy organs can be bought via social media in the Philippines.
Right.
So again, somebody here's like saying, their blood type, kidney for sale, negotiable price. That's kind of the ad.
Yeah, that's on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So. Mm-hmm.
So okay, so we did a search, kidney donor, and we did the site :t.me, and t.me means Telegram. And so just in clear sight, we can see a couple of people trying to find a kidney donor, which may be legitimate, but may also not be.
Right. And there was a whole on Telegram, when I was looking through the Telegram stuff, there was a whole Telegram group on organ donations. Where people go there to discuss where for donors and for people that are looking. Kind of sketchy. There it is. So it is sketchy.
I haven't looked at it. I mean, I could see where people would be like, if you needed an organ, you'd want to join a group like that. But you'd also want to know who's in charge of this group, and
Right. Yeah.
All right, then forced marriage, trafficking.
Yes. So forced marriage is another form of trafficking. Forced marriage, when I was in Baghdad in 2003, I noticed some forced marriages going on that were what were called temporary forced marriages. So it was essentially a way to traffic women for, they would be trafficked for a short marriage, and then they would be divorced, and so on and so forth. Forced marriage also happens in the United States. And forced marriage can most definitely be a form of trafficking. So it's something that is a global problem, and this organization explains what forced marriage is, why it's a form of trafficking, and some of the issues related to it. And it's something that's typically not on our radar when you're thinking about human trafficking, because it's I guess because people have thought of it as, oh, it's marriage, therefore it's not trafficking, but it is.
Right. And as this article says, it's a form of modern slavery, which is like labor trafficking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in some instances, some really obscure instances, depending on state laws, you can have somebody who's a minor who's forced to marry somebody who's older, and that could end up technically being trafficking.
Right. And then we have an article from CNA again, sophisticated and thriving in secrecy, and Indonesia's underground baby trafficking trade. And I would guess it's not just Indonesia.
Oh gosh, no, it's not just Indonesia. This happens all over the place, and it's happened throughout history. So you've seen Ireland. I know at one point in their history had it. We had it here in the United States. I mean, baby trafficking is a big deal, and again, that is human trafficking as well. So, yeah.
This article, he's talking about how his children were recruited for a trafficking scam, and then the parent himself, he had to go join a hunt to find them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So how were they recruited?
So these were recruited for working abroad through labor trafficking. Yeah. But it could also be through labor trafficking can come in so many different forms. It could be everything from somebody being a domestic helper to somebody
one too, I think,
be a model to somebody. And this one was just a recent article. That's why I included this one. But it again also happens in the United States as well. So
absolutely. Yeah. All right. I think that's all we have for our slides for today. Kind of went through them quickly, but there were a lot. There's going to be a ton of resources for you.
I just wanted to mention is again, or to reiterate that the free classes and a lot of the resources we offered are definitely worthwhile for raising awareness on human trafficking. I also wanted to mention that the both Trace Labs and Skull Games are two really good organizations that you can go actually assist in a Capture the Flag event as a volunteer
and get free training.
And get free training to assist in helping find missing people, and also to assist in stopping trafficking. Both organizations have provided actionable intelligence to law enforcement on multiple occasions, and so those are two good venues to go through.
And to kind of make it fun as well, and join a group, get some camaraderie as well. So it's like you got a couple benefits for that, besides just helping hopefully to find somebody. Yep. Are you ready for our slop of the week?
Yes.
All right. So all right, there's your AI slop of the week. That link will be in the show notes too, so you can share it to your friends.
I just wanted to say why I picked that one.
Okay, go ahead.
Anybody who remembers the old internet hamster dance meme, there is now multiple people putting AI generated hamster dances on TikTok.
If you want to generate your own, go to Sora. I think it'll be soras.com or sora.chatgpt.com, something like that. And you can create some of your own for free. All right. That's all for this week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Sten Giancarlo and Mrs. OSINT for coming in at the name when they called your name. All right. So thanks so much.
Bye.